It's religion and science living together on the same piece of cloth.
For centuries, a 14-foot-long cloth has endured everything history could throw at it: fires, wars, and the passage of time itself. It survived destruction that erased entire cities. But there was one thing it couldn't hide from: a supercomputer.
Ever since the Shroud first really appears in history, there's been controversy about it, and there have been questions about its authenticity.
Scientists recently fed ultra-high resolution scans of the cloth into an advanced neural network, not to prove what they already knew, but to uncover what human eyes had missed. And what the AI revealed was something no one expected. Beneath the visible image lies a precise, repeating mathematical symmetry, patterns so consistent, so exact, that they appear intentionally embedded. This wasn't damage. It wasn't coincidence. It was structure, hidden in plain sight for centuries, waiting for technology advanced enough to see it. What researchers uncovered isn't random at all. It's a carefully structured dataset governed by physical laws we're only beginning to understand. So here's the reality. If this cloth is a fake, then it would be the most sophisticated deception ever created in human history. Because what we're about to examine is a mystery that modern science still struggles to explain. Then the computers detected something extraordinary: a hidden signal. The analysis revealed that the darkness and intensity of the image correspond precisely to the distance between a human body and the cloth. In simple terms, it's a three-dimensional relief map encoded onto a flat, two-dimensional surface. And here's the unbelievable part. No artist in the Middle Ages had the knowledge or technology to achieve anything like this. It would be the equivalent of someone in the Dark Ages trying to write computer code with a feather pen. Even more astonishing, artificial intelligence showed that the image exists only on the outermost layer of the fibers, penetrating just a few hundred nanometers deep. Not paint, not dye, just an image resting on the very surface itself. To put this into perspective, a single human hair is about 80,000 nanometers thick. Compared to that, the image on the cloth doesn't soak in at all. It barely touches the fibers, resting on the surface like a faint, ghostly breath. But that's only the beginning. The analysis revealed something even more unusual. The image has no direction. Every painting ever created shows movement. You can trace the path of the brush, the hand of the artist, but here there are no brush strokes, no paint, no dye, no charcoal. Nothing that explains how the image was made. What makes this even stranger is that the fibers themselves have been chemically altered. They appear to have been lightly scorched by something that behaved like light, yet carried physical force. While many are focused on proving it's a forgery, the mathematics tell a very different story. Advanced analysis uncovered geometric ratios in the face and hands that are far too precise to be accidental. Because of this, some researchers now believe the cloth isn't artwork at all, but a recording of an immense energy event. They call it the resurrection signal. The idea is that a sudden burst of radiation imprinted the image of a human body directly onto the cloth. That would explain why computers interpret the image not as a drawing, but as a field of data points. In a way, it may be a frozen moment, capturing an instant when time and space themselves behaved differently. And to start with something undeniable, the scans confirm that this image holds more information than any photograph created before the 19th century. The machine uncovered something else, details invisible to the human eye. It detected thousands of microscopic wound patterns that align perfectly with ancient descriptions of torture. Even more astonishing, it identified faint impressions of coins placed over the eyes, traced to coins minted around the year 29. That discovery deepens the mystery. How could a forger in the 1300s know the precise design of coins made more than 13 centuries earlier? At this point, we're looking at something that shouldn't exist, an object from the ancient world created using principles of physics that feel far ahead of their time. Which raises an unsettling question: who or what produced such a pattern. Some theories go even further, suggesting the image may have been formed using a technology we don't yet possess. One idea proposes the cloth acted like a biological hard drive, storing detailed information about the body it once covered. If the artificial intelligence is correct, then the shroud isn't just a religious relic. It may be a piece of advanced hardware. The way the image interacts with the linen suggests it wasn't painted or pressed on. It was transferred, almost as if the body was scanned onto the fabric. That would mean the body never touched the cloth in a conventional way. Instead, it was recorded from a distance. Imagine a three-dimensional printer, but with a human body as the source material. That's how the AI describes the transformation of the fibers. The patterns are so precise, so consistent, they resemble something generated by an algorithm. And that algorithmic order is what continues to baffle scientists. Paint can be explained, fire can be explained, but mathematics appearing spontaneously on ancient linen cannot. And here's something even more unsettling. The computer found the same image faintly present on the back of the cloth as well. That means whatever formed it passed completely through the fabric without losing detail. The deeper researchers look, the more they encounter things that feel impossible. The shroud has endured for nearly 2,000 years, yet everything about it feels as if it was designed to be understood in the 21st century. It lay in silence, almost as if it were waiting for humanity to invent machines powerful enough to uncover its real message. That's why this discovery matters so much. It suggests that our understanding of the past may be deeply flawed. What we may be seeing is a kind of digital ghost, information preserved within a single thread. And even now, computers are still analyzing the data, uncovering new details day after day. The mystery only grows when we revisit the mistakes of earlier science. Most people point to the famous 1988 test, the moment many believed settled the debate once and for all. At the time, 3 major laboratories used carbon dating and concluded the cloth was only about 700 years old. For years, that result was treated as the final answer. Case closed. But the reality is far more complicated. The sample tested was taken from a corner of the cloth, an area that had been handled thousands of times over the centuries. During public exhibitions, the shroud was often held up by its corners, touched by countless hands, exposed to sweat, oils, and dirt. What's less widely known is that the cloth also survived multiple catastrophic fires. In 1532, a blaze nearly destroyed the metal container that held it. Molten silver dripped onto the linen, burning holes through the fabric. A group of nuns later repaired the damage using a technique known as invisible reweaving, carefully weaving new threads into the original cloth so seamlessly that the repairs were almost impossible to detect. Here's the astonishing part. The sample used for the carbon dating test came from one of those repaired areas. In other words, scientists weren't testing the original cloth at all. They were dating a medieval restoration. Years later, a chemist re-examined those threads shortly before his death. Using a microscope, he discovered something unexpected, something that reopened the entire debate. The threads taken from the corner sample were coated with plant-based gum and a yellow dye. This was done intentionally, so the newer threads would visually blend in with the older, aged linen. But the rest of the shroud tells a very different story. It is pure linen with no dye at all. Taken together, this strongly suggests the 1988 test failed. It's like trying to determine the age of an ancient car by testing its brand new tires. So what happened next? Scientists began running new tests using entirely different methods. Some turned to X-ray analysis, studying how the linen fibers had degraded over time. The results were startling. Their data indicated the cloth is roughly 2,000 years old, exactly the period when the man seen in the image would have lived. That timeline also aligns with other evidence. Researchers discovered pollen and dust from plant species that grow only in the region around Jerusalem. They even identified rare limestone particles consistent with stone found in ancient tombs from that area. And here's where it gets even more intriguing. Advanced machine analysis confirmed that the mathematical structure embedded in the image is consistent across the cloth. It also revealed that the image in the central body area is significantly older than the edges. At this point, the question is no longer just how old the cloth is, but how the image was formed at all. If the shroud is truly ancient, then the extraordinary data embedded within it demands an explanation beyond normal processes. Artificial intelligence analysis suggests the image was created in a way that bypasses typical decay and aging. This is why the invisible reweaving repair becomes such a critical part of the story. It proves that even experts can be misled by what they see. The nuns who repaired the shroud were so skilled that they unknowingly created a scientific trap. By weaving cotton threads into linen, they introduced newer material that skewed the carbon, dating toward a more recent age. There's also another factor. Fires themselves can alter carbon signatures. When intense heat burns near fabric, it can release fresh carbon that bonds to the surface. If the tested sample wasn't cleaned perfectly, the results would inevitably be wrong. And that means the mystery of the shroud isn't just unresolved. It may have been misunderstood from the very beginning. But there's an even more radical theory, one that pushes the mystery much further. Some researchers believe the shroud wasn't preserved by human hands alone. They suggest the fabric itself may have a kind of self-preserving quality that has allowed it to survive for nearly 2,000 years. It sounds like science fiction, but computer scans reveal something unusual. The fibers are remarkably strong. Unlike most ancient linens, they haven't crumbled into dust. One possible explanation is the same energy burst that created the image. That surge may have acted like a preservative, stabilizing the material at an atomic level. What many people don't realize is that the shroud's chemical signature resembles the effects of an electrical discharge, specifically something known as a corona discharge. This is the same phenomenon seen during lightning storms. If a human body somehow released that level of electrical energy, it could explain why carbon dating results were distorted. Electricity can alter atomic behavior, which means the very event people describe as miraculous may also be the reason the science seemed wrong for so long. In that sense, the 1988 test was like examining a single pixel and trying to explain an entire movie. The bigger picture was missing. Now, with artificial intelligence, we can finally see the millions of pixels that were once ignored. We can uncover layers of history and layers of data hidden within the cloth. This discovery is a reminder that we should never stop questioning. Often, the truth is buried beneath the mistakes we make while searching for it. The image isn't a forgery. It's a message, one that was waiting for the right reader. And its source may involve more than light or chemistry as we currently understand them. This is where the theories become truly extraordinary. Some physicists propose that the Shroud of Turin may be a kind of quantum hologram. They suggest the image formed when a body became transparent to its surroundings. This isn't just speculation pulled from science fiction, it's based on how machines interpret the data. For the three-dimensional information to be this precise, the cloth would have had to pass through the body as the image formed, almost like a three-dimensional object moving through a two-dimensional surface. But even that isn't enough. To produce an image this sharp without paint or pigment would require a very specific and powerful form of energy, one we're only beginning to understand. Scientists working in advanced laboratories have tried to recreate the image using high-powered lasers. They managed to produce something similar, but only by using billions of watts of vacuum ultraviolet light. That's more energy than an entire city consumes, released in a fraction of a second. To be clear, there was no possible way anyone in the Middle Ages, or even in the 1800s, could generate that kind of power. But there's an even more extreme idea. Some researchers suggest the shroud may be evidence of a cold fusion-like reaction. According to this theory, the body emitted a burst of neutrons that altered the carbon atoms in the cloth itself. If that happened, it would explain why carbon dating produced such misleading results. Adding new neutrons to a material can make it appear far younger than it actually is. In other words, the event may have been nuclear in nature, leaving behind not a burn, not a painting, but a shadow permanently imprinted onto the burial linen. If that's true, then the shroud may be a literal photograph of a miracle. And here's the part that truly stretches the imagination. Some believe it was meant as a message, created with the knowledge that one day humans would invent computers powerful enough to decode it. Only then would we be able to see the mathematics and geometry hidden within. Most people focus on the religious implications, but the scientific side is just as unsettling. Artificial intelligence has revealed that the image appears to contain information about the man's internal anatomy. It's as if an X-ray and a photograph were merged into a single image. By any measure, this may be one of the most complex objects ever studied. Some theorists even suggest the shroud is the result of a time anomaly, an event in the future that caused a rupture in time, sending energy backward and imprinting the image in the past. It sounds like science fiction. But when an object consistently violates the known laws of physics, every possibility, even the most extraordinary ones, has to be considered. So here's the reality. We're looking at a mystery that stretches across both time and space. What most people don't realize is that this image isn't formed by reflected light. Ordinary photographs work because light bounces off a person and into a camera. But the figure on the shroud doesn't behave that way. The shadows don't make sense because the light didn't come from outside the body. It came from within. Scientists call this an internal radiation source. In simple terms, the body itself acted like the light. That's why the image is so sharply defined on the fibers. The energy didn't travel through air where it could scatter or blur. It moved directly from skin to cloth. This leads to one of the most radical ideas yet, the event horizon theory. In physics, an event horizon marks the boundary of a black hole, where time and space no longer behave normally. Some researchers believe the body and the cloth briefly entered a similar state. In that instant, information from the body may have been projected onto the linen. That would explain why computers interpret the image as raw data rather than artwork. It appears to be a record of matter transitioning from one state to another. And here's where it gets even stranger. Artificial intelligence has detected multiple layers within the image, as if the body was recorded several times in rapid succession. The movements were so fast they collapsed into what looks like a single image. This is known as a stroboscopic effect. That suggests the resurrection wasn't simply a person waking up, but a transformation involving extreme vibration, fast enough to pass through solid matter. If that's true, the shroud may be the only physical evidence we have of a higher dimension. Everyone focuses on the man, but the real story may be the energy. The mathematics uncovered by the computer show that this energy followed a perfect inverse square law, the same rule that governs how light and radiation spread. The fact that an ancient cloth follows this law with such precision is astonishing. It means the image wasn't made by human hands. It was created by a controlled physical process, one guided by laws of physics, not artistic intent. What if the figure in the cloth was never fully human to begin with? The mathematics point to something far older and far stranger than we usually allow ourselves to imagine. When advanced systems analyzed the face on the shroud, they uncovered something invisible to the naked eye, a hidden framework of sacred geometry. This structure follows the golden ratio, a mathematical constant found throughout nature, from seashells to spiral galaxies. Artists have relied on this ratio for centuries to create harmony and beauty. But here's what makes the shroud different. The geometry isn't limited to the face. It's embedded in the posture of the body itself, and even in the way the blood appears to have flowed. And that blood is real. Scientific analysis confirms it's genuine human blood, type AB, a rare group. Even more remarkable, Artificial intelligence determined that the blood stains were present before the image formed. That detail changes everything. It means the blood flowed naturally from a living person, and only afterward did the image emerge around it. If this were the work of a forger, the process would have had to be reversed, first creating the image, then somehow adding real blood in a way that defies logic. Instead, the evidence suggests something else entirely. A real body, real blood, and an image that appeared later, guided by mathematics no human hand could have planned. But the mathematics reveal something even stranger. In certain areas, the blood sits beneath the image data, while in other places it lies on top of it. In other words, the sequence isn't simple or linear. The analysis uncovered another critical detail. The blood contains unusually high levels of bilirubin. This chemical appears in the bloodstream when a person has suffered extreme physical trauma. Simply put, it confirms that the man in the shroud endured severe suffering. This isn't a clever illustration. It's a biological record of a real human being. And there's more. The computer detected ancient DNA within the blood, consistent with populations from the Middle East. But what truly stunned researchers was the symmetry of the wounds. Artificial intelligence showed that the whip marks follow a precise mathematical pattern. There are more than 120 of them, and they were inflicted by 2 different individuals of different heights. The system was even able to reconstruct where those people were standing when the injuries occurred. That level of detail is virtually impossible to fake. Everyone focuses on how the image was created, but the bigger question may be why. Some radical theories suggest the shroud functions as a biological backup, an ancient method of preserving identity. The DNA and the image together may act like a prehistoric data storage device woven from linen. In fact, the amount of information encoded on the cloth exceeds that of a modern DVD. If we ever learn how to fully read this code, it could reveal insights about life and death that we can barely comprehend today. So here's the reality. The shroud isn't just a relic. It's a puzzle waiting to be solved. Artificial intelligence has shown that the geometry embedded in the image aligns with the layouts of ancient temples and even with stellar patterns in the night sky. This suggests that whoever, or whatever, created it possessed a deep understanding of the universe itself. They weren't just recording a face, they were recording the structure of reality. The proportions of the nose, eyes, and forehead correspond to frequencies found in the human voice. This leads to what some call the resonance theory. According to this idea, the image may have been formed by sound. A specific frequency could have caused the fibers to vibrate, altering their color and imprinting a 3-dimensional form onto a flat surface. This phenomenon is known as cymatics. And remarkably, artificial intelligence detected patterns in the weave that resemble frozen sound waves. If that's true, the shroud may be a piece of music captured in time, the sound of a human soul leaving a body. And if that sounds too extreme, consider this. The image shows no signs of decay. Normally, blood and skin would decompose, leaving disorder behind. But this image is clean, precise, and structured, almost as if it had been refined by a laser. By every measure, this is the most organized piece of biological data ever discovered. It challenges the idea that death marks the end of information. What if the shroud isn't just evidence, but a doorway? The truth may be hidden behind layers of ancient symbols, mathematics, and physics we're only beginning to understand. Final code detected. And as the mystery reaches its final stage, it becomes even stranger. Some believe the Shroud of Turin wasn't created by humans at all. They suggest the energy burst came from an advanced source, perhaps an extraterrestrial intelligence, or even a time traveler. What's undeniable is that the image behaves like a scanned object. It's as though a high-energy beam passed over the body, recording every detail onto the nearest surface. That would explain why there's no distortion. If you wrap cloth around a face, the image should stretch and flatten when unwrapped. But the face on the shroud is perfectly proportioned. For that to happen, either the cloth was perfectly flat or the body was suspended in mid-air during the event. That points to a moment when gravity itself may not have applied. And the final detail? Artificial intelligence detected subtle blurring in parts of the image, suggesting the body was vibrating at an extremely high frequency. Whatever happened here, it wasn't ordinary. It's an extreme theory, but one that strangely aligns with the data. It suggests the man didn't simply vanish. He was transforming into energy itself. Perhaps the most controversial idea of all is that the shroud represents a kind of glitch in reality. Some theorists believe our universe operates like a simulation and that the resurrection was a moment when the system briefly failed. In that view, the shroud would be the error log, a trace left behind when the rules broke. That would explain why it refuses to follow the known laws of physics. It's a fragment of the world that doesn't behave like the rest. So, we're left with an unsettling question. Are we even meant to fully understand this? What if everything changed in an instant, and we simply woke up inside a new version of reality? If the artificial intelligence findings are correct, then we may be missing a crucial chapter of our own history. The truth is, the shroud forces us to see the world differently. It stands at the boundary between what we can observe and what we can only imagine. Whether it represents a miracle, an advanced message, or a tear in time itself, it may be the most important object ever discovered. And the data adds one final, unsettling detail. Analysis suggests the man in the cloth possessed a DNA structure slightly different from our own. Some researchers claim the system detected an additional layer of instructions within his genetic code. If that's true, then he wasn't just a man. He may have been a new form of humanity, or even a prototype of what we are meant to become. The geometry woven into the cloth isn't just mathematics. It may be a blueprint of future evolution. And if the final code can ever be deciphered, it could reveal how to unlock those abilities within ourselves. The shroud has survived fire, water, and centuries of human curiosity. Today, it rests behind bulletproof glass, but its true power isn't physical. It lies in the information it carries. The machine has shown us the doorway. Now the question is whether we're ready to step through it. What if the image is more than a body? What if it's a map of the universe itself, hidden in human form? The proportions of the figure appear to align with the distances between planets in our solar system. This leads to the star map theory. Some believe the shroud was left behind as a navigational guide by ancient visitors, using the human body as a familiar shape to conceal cosmic mathematics. That would explain why artificial intelligence keeps uncovering repeating ratios and perfect proportions. In this view, it isn't just a person. It's a galaxy encoded in cloth. So here's the reality. We may be looking at a message written in the language of the universe itself. Everyone wants answers, but perhaps the mystery is the message. The shroud has guarded its secrets for centuries, but now computers are beginning to catch up. We are standing on the edge of a discovery that could redefine what it means to be human. The mathematics, the science, and even the most extreme theories all point to one conclusion. Something impossible happened in that tomb 2,000 years ago, and the world is still waiting for the final code to be broken. Could an ancient piece of linen be carrying a digital message from the future? What do you think the machines really found in those fibers? Share your wildest theories in the comments and subscribe as we continue exploring the mysteries that challenge everything we think we know.